Get in, nerds. We are playing Burden of Command. We just had a lovely dinner broken up by some stick-up-the-ass MPs, and here we are, now in Italy, getting ready to do a night patrol. Carbine clutched tight, you edge through the brush with eyes fixed on the back of Corporal Crosley in front of you, the big man silhouetted by the pale glow of the gibbous moon. His hand rises, the stop signal. Another hand signal is passed down the line. Someone wants you up front. You creep forward to find your battalion commander crouched low behind a seat of scratchy bushes waiting for you. Colonel Heintges, here. This must be serious. This is what makes a good officer. Do that last one. Colonel Heintges is led from the front since the battalion landed in Italy a month ago. Through the long, wet slog over the mountains, he had marched with the lead company almost every single day. The colonel points toward a handful of dark shapes, German paratrooper helmets, outlined against the shimmering, moonlit surface of the river beyond. The first Germans you've seen since arriving in Italy, and they're only a few hundred yards away. What's the next step? A firefight will be useless. This will complicate things. That's what a German flamethrower looks like, huh? Interesting. What's the next step? Looks like crowds ahead, the colonel whispers as you hunker down next to him. Confirm that. They could be Italians, but either way. Confirm that. Heintges turns to the radio man and whispers something too quiet for you to hear. The enlisted man nods, and a moment later he's hissing a request for a fire mission into his handset. A minute later, the sound of tearing linen rips across the night sky. The ground shakes as fists of thunder and flame pound the earth, filling the darkness with fire and screams. The survivors scramble away, dark shapes in the after images of the shell bursts. Almost by reflex, your carbine snaps to your shoulder. If you open fire now, you might be able to take the fleeing crowds down. They're terrified, and that's enough. We can't let them get away. Firing would give away our position. The battalion CO is in command. I wait for orders before firing. The battalion CO is in command. You take a breath and lower your weapon. The last thing you want to do is look jumpy in front of Heintges. If he gets the impression that your nerves are shot, it won't look good on your service record. We're here to cross the river. Scouting is our real purpose. I don't really know. Scouting is our real purpose. The name on the map is the Volturno River. Oh, man. Winding barrier smack dab in the a wide winding barrier smack dab in the regiment's way. The Germans know that too. The Krauts have seeded this bank with mines and have blown every bridge across the river. If the army wants to get across the Volturno, it will have to secure the far bank with an infantry attack so that engineers can get the tanks and guns across. To do that, brave men will need to find crossing points for the infantry right under Jerry's nose. I'll personally scout the crossing. Personal adventure, possible change in combat fatigue, prestige, loyalty, and trust. Or I'll leave this to professionals. Skip this. I will personally scout the crossing. General Truscott insisted the battalion commanders lead recon patrols themselves, and Colonel Heintges now insists on bringing a company commander too. You drew the short straw. Okay, I thought I volunteered, but alright. Heintges checks his map, a poncho held over his head to keep the Germans from spotting the dull red gleam of his filtered flashlight. After a moment, he flicks the lights off, folds the map, and emerges. He points at a stretch of water just a little ways downstream. There, he whispers to you, that's our Oh, no. Oh, this is where Heintges gets killed. Cripes! Oh, man, I'm going to lose another one. Take a look. Remember the difficulties of crossing. Consider the risks. Start by taking a look. The river gleams silvery, slow, and sedate in the indicated stretch. That's all to the good, given what's coming. Now it could be waiting on the other side. Give me the rope, Colonel Heintges says as he steps toward the river. I'll go first. Sir, you're too valuable. Let me go. Possible prestige, XP, trust, and combat fatigue gain. You will almost certainly survive. Yes, sir. Let the colonel scout the crossing. You can't afford to lose yours, sir. Let my men do it. Make one of the enlisted men scout the crossing. Low chance of trust -10. Sir, you're too valuable. Let me go. Colonel seems less than pleased, but after a moment's thought he relents. Doesn't sit right with me, he replies, but maybe you have a point. Take the rope, whisper a prayer. My pride may be my downfall. My pride may be my downfall. Your men watch silently. It's impossible to see their features in the dark. But now you will have their respect for doing this thing brave, stupid, or both. A tug on the rope finds it securely anchored on the side. The step into the water. Icy wet seeps through your boots and soaks into your socks. Here we go. Whisper a prayer. Yep, definitely picking my pride here. Whisper a prayer. I did it! Prestige +2, combat fatigue +15, trust +15. The cold presses up against the back of your head like the tip of a sharpened bayonet as you wade in. The rope lies heavy in one hand and you swim with the other. Exhaustion mounts until at last river mud slithers beneath your soaked boots. As you scramble ashore and tie off the rope, the only good thought that lingers is that if you do somehow hit a landmine, you'll be dead before you even notice. Swim back to the other side. The colonel pulls you up when you reach the other side. When he slaps you on the back, you can feel the warmth of the blow spread down your frigid spine. Hell of a job, Captain. Now take 5. It's our turn. The bitter cold is an old friend by the time the patrol returns to camp, but the change of clothes and a trip to the mess tent changes all that. Colonel Heintges has clearly used a little authority to have the cooks lay out a spread of freshly cooked steak. Actual eggs, the usual hash. The bottles of rum that head the table are clearly from his personal stash. Feast and recover, toast our success. I need the prestige. Toast our success. At your call, everyone raises their cup. No speeches, of course, not while the meal cools. The warmth of the rum has just begun to meet the pleasant company of the feast when a new figure straggles in, disheveled and defeated, his weapon conspicuous by its absence. It's Major Duvall, 2nd Battalion's commanding officer. Gentlemen? He rumbles with weary desperation. I don't suppose any of you have noted stray officers. Stray officers? Let Heintges answer. He's in charge. Not everyone's patrol went well. This is Heintges' show here. Colonel Heintges is out of his chair in an instant. Jesus Christ, Everett, you look like shit, he observes as he helps his fellow battalion CO to a chair. What the hell happened? It's obvious what happened. Disaster. Thank God I didn't have to give this report. Duvall may be a major forever. If they don't bust him back down to sergeant. Thank God I don't have to give this report. Major Duvall's account grows soft with the telling, perked up only briefly with a tot of rum. A German patrol found him and his officers. He'd been captured, but then pickpocketed a grenade which had allowed his officers to scatter into the night. Once it becomes clear that none of you have seen any of his men and that he is likely in command, Duvall's visage hardens and he quietly excuses himself. Duvall will send out another patrol. His battalion, his problem. Keep eating. I'm gonna keep eating. I don't. This is Heintges' show. I don't know that this affects anything. I mean, he'll probably send out another patrol. The next day, Colonel Heintges assembles you and the other company commanders for a battalion briefing. This will be a division-scale operation. 2 days from now, the 7th will cross the river with most of the 15th at 045. 145? I'm not sure. At midnight 45, while the remainder of the 15th and 30th will launch a divisionary attack on our left. The colonel explains over a map spread on the table in front of you. 1st and 2nd battalions will cross first. Once they reach the high ground on the far side of the river, we will follow. 2 days. Feels like forever. 2 days isn't long enough. Time enough to warm up again. Time enough to warm up again. This is an armored division. I don't like this. Hopefully not an enemy one, but I think it's an enemy one. It's an enemy armored formation of some kind. This is Easy Company. And this is next to its 3rd Regiment, and then 3rd Battalion, I think, and then YD. I'm not sure. Again, I think some of this is a little bit skewed because of the upscaling and the way upscaling kind of does text dirty, so it's a little bit hard to tell. No, hold on. The E, and the YD, those are in the type symbols, not the type location, not the name location. The one vertical mark is a company. So the ones above that are battalions. Yeah, I don't know. I know they're not combat engineers, because combat engineer looks like a bridge, like a little M. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. My NATO symbols are a little bit rusty, I guess. Your fellow company commanders toss worried glances at each other. Word of what happened to 2nd Battalion is already spread, and they lost nearly all of their officers. And apparently the brass means to spearhead the attack with an outfit missing a chunk of its leaders. Didn't 2nd Battalion scout out their crossing? We have the best intel. Why are we in reserve? Is 2nd Battalion able to launch an attack? The colonel frowns, and with that, everyone knows what you're really asking. How can 2nd Battalion lead the attack while missing most of its officers? Major Duval is confident that missing officers will find their way back, Heintges answers. The quiet that descends is almost deafening. I know, the colonel continues with a hint of bitterness. I've expressed my reservations to the regiment. Hey, you survived. Well, you haven't survived yet. We'll see. I've expressed my reservations to regiment, but General Truscott and Colonel Sherman, He pauses. For just long enough to show exactly how little faith he has in what he's saying. Trust them, alright? Heintges moves on and covers the orders for each individual company, one by one until he comes to yours. Nickel Company will anchor the battalion's flank. Once you get across the river, your objective is a hill called Mount Majula. He explains as he points to the leftmost of a cluster of low peaks on the far side of the river. Extreme flank, just what the Germans like. Anchor, flank, got it. A hill called a mountain, these Italians. Extreme flank, just what the Germans like. Advance up the western slope of the hill and make contact with Fox Company from 2nd Battalion. They should be to your right. Once you reach the hill, you will hold it against any enemy counterattack. It looks you dead in the eye. If the Krauts take that hill, they'll be able to put fire on every point in 3rd Division's on every one of 3rd Division's crossing points. That cannot be allowed to happen at any cost. Now then, he says he shifts his gaze to the entire room. Questions? What shape is Fox Company in? What kind of counterattack are we expecting? Will we have any support? No questions, sir. Will we have any support? We got tank destroyers on standby. Ew. Wolverines, I love that. But they won't be able to move until the engineers get our bridges across the river. Until then, you'll have to rely on artillery support and whatever weapons you have on hand. Alright, so we're going to have artillery. What kind of counterattack are we expecting? The Krauts know how important that hill is, too. They'll throw everything they can at you to get it back. Intelligence reports German armor in the area. Plan accordingly. No more questions, sir. The other company commanders have questions about their responsibilities, too, but not many of them. Within a few minutes, the briefing has run its course, and you are headed back to brief your own platoon leaders in turn. Last day to prepare. Time to write a letter home. Brace the men for this. Brace the men. Equipment is checked and rechecked. Weapons are cleaned. Men are briefed on where to cross the river, how to cross the river, and what to do afterwards. That night, word comes down from battalion. The attack is to be delayed 24 hours. That is not good for the nerves, but finally you leave the staging area and head down to the river. I just want to get this over with. This is the Army way. Another day to prepare. Fine. Another day and another night. They come in pairs. It's useless to agonize over past decisions, but soldiers do it anyway. As the sun sets on yet another day in Napoli, First Sergeant Grant rustles the flap of your command tent. Trailing behind him is Private Ross. The lanky gunner lets out a sigh as he steps inside. Captain, something's wrong with Lieutenant Stern, Ross says. He's been up these past two nights. Can't go on. He's been up these past 2 nights. Can't go on. I knew a guy who went 3 full days without sleep, Captain, First Sergeant Grant says. Didn't kill him, but he did start talking to the table. Stern will figure it out. Captain's combat fatigue -10. Better see him just in case. Stress scenes. Stern may recover a lot of combat fatigue, or I better drop in on the man. I better drop in on the man. You find Stern in one of the allocated barracks. A .30 cal is set up before him, field stripped. Beside him is a steaming hot tin cup that smells strongly of coffee. When he glances up, his bloodshot eyes and vacant stare tell you exactly how he's been coping lately. How's the coffee today? Stern gives you a little shudder. His eyes focus on you. Hey, Captain. Yeah, he absently takes up the coffee around and then glances down as he's surprised to find it in his hand. Yes, how have you been sleeping? I'm guessing one of us needs a nap. Private Ross is worried about you. I'm not going to rat out Private Ross. Gesture questioningly toward the coffee. I'm guessing one of us needs a nap. Sure, Stern says and gives a snort that makes him wince afterward. Why don't we call Hitler and ask him to stop the war for a few hours while I get some beauty sleep? How long has it been? How bad are your bells ringing? The men need their leader. Make a decision about it, Stern. The men need their leader. Yeah, I know, Stern says. Got to do better. There's a lot more war ahead. I wanted us to be clear on this. Can't go on like this. It's not that easy. Sigh. Can't go on like this, man. Like I said, I'm not giving up, Stern replies. I'll give you my word on that. How many nights have you lost? What have you tried for this? Make a decision. How many nights have you lost? 2, 3 days since things got bad, Stern says. When it becomes clear that his vague statement is enough, he adds, maybe 4, but that's it. He looks away toward the horizon. His head droops, his eyes close, and then he jerks back awake. Long enough, then. I've wrestled with this, too. Nod. I've wrestled with this, too. Yeah? Stern asks. After Captain Lamb got shot, it was cleaner with him. Me, I made a bad call. Why can't you sleep? I don't know. I just can't, Stern says, and rocks back and forth briefly. Every time I put my head down, it's like I'm just lying there. Can't stop thinking. What have you tried for this? Tried? Lots of stuff, Stern says and shakes his head slowly. Walking, running, coffee, talking to people for hours. Nothing seems to work. Someone suggested I drink myself to sleep. There were bottles, well, wine mostly, but also whiskey if I'd let a guy go to the rear for a bit. Maybe you should have tried the wine. So nothing worked? Walking, running? Who'd you talk to? Everyone, Stern says, head bobbing as he shakes off another little nap. Last was Sergeant Layton while he was making me coffee. That man loves to gab. What do you think is the problem? I don't know and don't care, Stern says, wobbling slightly as he sits. I just want to get a decent night's sleep and start killing Germans again. Is it guilt from Olsen's death? Is it because of how Wilson got gunned down at Palma? What about the surrender of those Italians? Do you think of where we're going? This was a long time ago. It's because of how Wilson got gunned down at Palma? A little. A lot, Stern says, and his voice drops to growl. The old man deserved better. He should have seen Berlin one last time. Good decision. You talked to Stern enough to know that something has to be done. He's tough enough to dish back your words, driven to win whatever the cost. He's going to keep killing Germans because that's why we're really here. Though you've gotten him to open up, prescribe 3 hot meals and a cot in the rear for the night. Stern may reduce combat fatigue. You try sleeping pills, may reduce combat fatigue. Sign strenuous drill to the point of exhaustion. May reduce combat fatigue. Require him to sample a little wine tonight. Send him to the rear for a few days. I think this is probably the thing most likely to get Stern to do his thing. On the other hand, I don't think it's the right call medically, especially because we might be going into an attack and he'll be goofed up. Three hot meals and a cot in the rear is... I don't want to give him sleep. Again, like, we're coming into an attack here. So we don't want to goof around with this. Three hot meals and a cot in the rear just seems like the best decision. 3 hot meals and a cot, Stern says. Like I got in shell shock, but if it's an order, I'll go. Hey! Stern's combat fatigue minus 50. Excellent. With that, he wobbles to his feet and heads to the rear. In the morning, Grant relays where the lieutenant slept at least part of the night. We can only hope that trend continues. Excellent. I am a success. Oh, so good at officering. For the second time in a week, you find yourself chest deep in freezing water as you wade across the Volturno. carbine held high in one hand and the guide rope in the other. The rest of your company follows behind, your way lit from time to time by the star shells bursting overhead. 1st and 2nd Battalions had to deal with tracers too. You saw them from the staging area, streams of green from German MGs and storms of red going the other way, trying to silence them. Those enemy machine guns are silent now, even if their artillery still barks defiance from beyond the horizon, their shells landing blindly among the swarms of crossing GIs. Suddenly, the river explodes into a massive churning column. A thunder cap slams you off your feet and into the river. The Volturno floods into your mouth, your ears, your nostrils. Only your tight grip on the guide rope keeps you from being swept away. As your surface shouts fill your ears, an inflatable raft that should be at the rear of your company drifts past and sinks steadily into the deep water with all of its precious cargo. Save the radio, grab the bazookas, get the mortars. Grab the bazookas. I'm gonna need anti-tank weaponry for this shit. Grab the bazookas. Your orders save a critical piece of gear from Volturno. Excellent. Your orders give your scattered men a sense of purpose. They swarm over the sinking dinghy, pulling up 2 bazooka tubes and the ammunition as well. The first rays of the sun creep up as your company makes it to the far side of the river. Sodden and freezing, you take stock of what's left. The 30 cals, your 3 bazookas, and their ammunition. The rest is at the bottom of the Volturno. Okay, bazooka team will arrive next turn in these 3 hexes. Alright, so let's take a second to look. Okay, so this is the river. Take a second to look at where we are. Ridge objective, ridge objective, ridge objective. We don't know who's holding these, which is interesting. Oh, this is a big map. This is a big map. We need to take 3 objectives. Okay, so if we take no objectives, but kill at least 3 enemy units? Men? We get a minor defeat. If we get 1 objective, we get a draw. If we get 2 objectives, we get a minor victory. And if we get 3 objectives, we get a major victory. Okay. Men, major victory, same as it ever was. Okay, so this is interesting. Alright. I might turn this into another short episode because I don't want to necessarily go straight forward right away. So let's just take a quick look at some sightlines here. Right, so the enemy does have the potential to cover a lot of these approaches here. Now what about here? Got an MG here. But this MG also has visibility to this area, so I could scout by fire and weapon range immediately. What kind of visibility do these 2 spots have? These 2 spots have visibility basically to all the way this way. Okay, visibility here is pretty bad. But I think ideally over and around would be how Dearborn's squads get in there. There's very good visibility from here, so that's a good position to take. And again, these are objectives we don't know even if the enemy is holding them. We're really, really close to these objectives, so I'm feeling 1 of 8 turns. This is going to be a weird scenario. There's going to be some kind of chicanery going on here, I bet. We said we were expecting counterattacks from armor. I wonder if our boys are actually holding these objectives and we're getting schmuck baited into some friendly fire garbage. That would be fun. That would be very. That would be extremely rude and exactly the type of gameplay that we love in this game. I know the Navy's shot at us a couple times, so you know these kinds of things are happening. But anyway, I am tired because it's been 3 episodes, and I already recorded 2 episodes this afternoon before this one, so I think I'm gonna put a break in here. We had a long episode in the last one. The one before that was a little bit shorter, but it is what it is. So, yeah. Without even say, like this game is diabolical. I love it, but it's diabolical. This is no Hearts of Iron 4. This game is diabolical. Um, I got a little salty last time, but I'm all right now. We're chill. We're vibing. I'm still having a great time with Burden of Command. I am absolutely loving the shit out of this game. I've run military tabletop role playing games before, so I know how much goes into the streams of the role playing sections of things like this. I know how much there is to do with these conversations and stuff like that. So I'm really really impressed by generally how well this is done. I really like the combat fatigue sequences. I think they give each of our officers a really human feel. I think they give them this very normal, reasonable, this very honest and human sort of way of looking at things, way of seeing them as people that I think is just so critically important, and that often gets lost in games where your officer is primarily a set of stats. So yeah, so I'm having a great time, but that is all we've got time for tonight, my nerds. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.